The Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters proudly presents Angler and Hunter Television. Brought to you by Canadian Tire, Burris Optics, Mercury Marine and Lund Boats, Yamaha ATVs, Browning Ammunition, Browning Firearms, Suffolk Fishing Line, Rapala, Camillus Knives and Cuda Tools, and Yukon Gear.
Ontario is home to one of the healthiest black bear populations in North America. These bears can be found from the heavily populated shores of Lake Ontario all the way to the boreal forests and barren muskeg flats along the western shores of Hudson's Bay. In Ontario, baiting for bear is perfectly legal, and it's the most effective way to get a look at a bear long enough to confirm whether it's a boar or a sow, or if there's cubs nearby.
It's a sow with cubs. You're not going to shoot those bear. There might be another bear coming. I hear something over there.
Black bears are omnivores and will pretty much eat anything from berries and nuts to beaver, deer fawns, and moose calves.
These guys are awesome. So what do you think of that?
Now add to that they're one of the most elusive animals in our woods, and you have a pretty challenging animal to hunt. Knowing that beavers are a favorite of bears, I like to locate an active beaver pond and set up a bait close by. Okay, so I'm just on my way in here to top up the bear bait. But before I like to go in there, I like to always scan, make sure I'm not jumping a bear, spooking a bear. It's a good habit to get into, especially if you know the bears are hitting the bait. Sometimes on your way back, you can just come in and almost stalk a bear that way. But you want to make sure you're 100 yards, 60 yards away and scan the area. Doesn't even look like the bait's been hit. In the odd time, you'll actually see the bear laying up behind an old log or something, having a nap, but not today.
This portion of Angler and Hunter Television brought to you by Yamaha ATVs.
Okay, so this is March. We're in the last week of March. It's the earliest I've ever got my bait set up for bear. Usually April 1st, that's when I like to come out, and usually there's ice on the pond, snow on the ground, but I moved all this stuff here this year, thinking that it's a little closer and more accessible, but the trees are budded, the sap's running, ground's dry, and it's March, so I'm going to get this bait set up early and keep an eye on it with a camera, and you never know, might get an early start to the bear season. It's a new spot. It's kind of close to my camp, but basically I've got this here. I'll put chocolate and donuts in that they can get out easily, and then in this one I'm going to put dog food, maybe some meat scraps, cooking oil, and molasses is what I'll mix in there, and the bears will knock it over and roll around and pieces fall out. That allows me to not have to come back and bait very frequently. And this one here is the one they're going to come to first, get all the goodies out of it, and then they'll roll this around. Once I confirm bears are hitting the bait, I'll then put in my stand and reload the bait accordingly. This is pure chocolate. That goes in there. And the rest I got mixed with some corn. That's a good start. Now with this warm weather and lots of strong wind, I'm going to come back and pour some molasses on this because that'll carry. The molasses really carries. But basically that's it. That's all you need to do to get set up with a bear bait. And it's worked really well for me over the past few years. Bears can figure stuff out. So just that little simple setup right there, they won't be able to flip it. But when you're setting up these barrels like this, you don't want a lot of room. You just want to be able to them to get their paw in there and pull the food out. And you want to make it sure it's high enough off the ground that raccoons can't get in there. And then the holes cut low in the barrel so that if a raccoon gets up here, he can't get in there. If a raccoon gets in there, you're going to be out of bait fast and it's going to cost you a lot of money baiting. Spring bear season is the highlight for my daughter and I. It lets us get away for a few days and do some of the things we love. Hiking, ATV riding, and of course, spending time around the camp practicing with our bows and working on perfecting our shots. Good shot. Good job. Okay, so my original plan coming into bear camp this year was going to be an archery hunt, where August and I would be in a tree stand at about 20 yards above the bear bait. But the forecast has been so hot. The next few days are going to be 28 to 30 degrees with a bit of a south wind and really humid, which is rare for a spring bear hunt. But we came practiced with our bows and I got sighted in, but it's not going to be practical to bow hunt. So we've got a tent trailer blind that we made, and we're going to hunt out of it. It's about 51 yards to the barrel, and I brought along my BPS 20 gauge slug gun, which is outfitted with a drop tine scope from Burris, specially made for slug guns, and it goes up to 7 magnification, which is perfect at 50 yards. I'll crank this up. I'm going to take a few shots here at 50 yards to make sure I'm hitting where I want to hit. And then I'm just going to shoot off my elbow, not a gun rest, which is what I'll be doing in that blind. Make sure I'm dialed in, and then we'll get set up. And when things start to cool down this evening, we're going to jump on the Yamahas and head out to the blind. But right now, I'm just going to take a few practice shots here. These are Browning Ammo's BXS 20 gauge Sabot slugs, which I took a deer last fall with, and fantastic. So with any luck, this might become August's outfit, but I'm going to sight in with it here and just make sure it's shooting and see what happens. Make sure I'm good to go. The one thing I always do before heading to the stand is to make sure that the firearm I'm using is dialed in and shooting accurately at the distance I'm going to be hunting. I should be shooting a little bit to the right on this scope from what I have learned when I'm freehand, just the way I pull the trigger and there's a bit of flinch, but should be pretty close to bullseyes on both those shots.
This portion of Angler and Hunter Television brought to you by Minn Kota and Humminbird.
Most bear activity usually happens just before dark. So with plenty of daylight left, August and I suited up and headed into the woods on the Yamahas so we could be at the stand well before the bears start moving in. Yes, that's a tent trailer. August and I weren't getting much use out of it, so we decided to transform it into a custom mobile box blind.
Wow. All right. It's 2021 spring bear hunt. It's the first official year of the full return of this hunt. Did you know that? There was a pilot project because it was canceled years ago. And this is the first hunt of the reinstated bear season. and it's smoking hot out here.
30 degrees in the middle of May.
The year they introduced the pilot project, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, it was like this, and I was in a tree stand, and I shot a great bear. Really hot out, though. We had to ice it down and run it into town for an hour away. It was crazy. But we're set up. We've got a tent trailer that we bought, and we converted it into a box blind. It's pretty cool, actually. We spent the summer last year rigging it up, cutting the windows, and it's perfect. You put the thermocell on, keeps the bugs out. We've got a big screened window here we're looking out. But this bait, I set this bait out here in March, thinking I could get some bears coming early, and nothing hit it until second week of May. Oh, I had a small boar come in and take a beaver, and then haven't seen him. And then we had a sow with small cubs and another sow with 1.5-year-old cubs. So the sow with the small cubs, August, is off limits. You can't hunt her. They're cubs of the year. But the sow with the 1.5-year-old cubs, they're fair game. I'm not planning on harvesting one of those bears. I'm hoping for a boar. But what happens is they go into, it's mating season in June here, and a boar will start chasing the sows when they go into heat and chase the cubs off. So if the cubs are gone and she's alone, I might take that sow. But we're hoping. We got a few days. We're going to sit here and hopefully see some bears and try and get a shot at a boar. Shoot it. It'll probably be the last bear I ever hunt because she's going to have her license next year. I'll just be running the camera and maybe coaching. You don't take my advice very often.
Once we settle in and the thermocells are doing their job, we scan the woods for wildlife, share some funny stories, and take a few selfies to memorialize the hunt. But when the sun starts to dip in the sky and the woods become quiet, it's time to focus and keep a watchful eye.
Bear.
Bears can sneak into a bait without making a sound.
Well, it's not a cub, it's a juvenile. They are coming in the way we thought they were. You film it, August. Stay on them. That's a juvenile. You be slow, okay? The sun's on us. Are you filming them? You just stay on that little guy. Now, that's not a bad little bear. So that's a juvenile, August. And you'll notice his butt fur is all rubbed off. You see how that brown fur is there? You want to look at him through these. Careful, okay? He's stealing all the good stuff. Something scared him. Maybe a raccoon. Oh, I hear another bear. Did you hear that? Woof, woof.
That's a bear.
Yeah, that's the sow or a boar grunting. They woof, woof. He left in a hurry. You keep your eye out for another movement back there, okay?
The Hunting Edge is brought to you by Browning Ammunition.
To get the edge over the bear, we got in and out of the woods on our Yamaha Kodiak 450 and Kids Grizzly 90. A pair of Burris binoculars were essential in scanning the woods for movement. Browning's BPS 20-gauge shotgun, loaded with Browning's BXS Sabot slugs, and fixed with a Burris drop-tine 2x7 scope, did the trick. And of course, a Camillus knife made for easy field dressing and prepping for the freezer. Springtime in the woods is pretty special. After a long winter, just hearing the sounds and seeing things come to life could put your mind at ease. Sharing this quiet time in the blind with my daughter has to be one of my favorite things. As the sun dips into the tree line, the light changes, and so do the sounds. Things become pretty still, and a bear is one of the stealthiest critters in the forest, so being alert is the key to spotting one.
It's him again, right? Want me to shoot him? Would you shoot him?
This was the bear we were hoping for.
He's all alone.
All of our trail cam pics, we had mostly sows and cubs hitting the bait. But we did have one small juvenile boar on camera a few times, and we were sure this was him. The rubbed off fur on his hind legs was the giveaway.
See, I could shoot him right now. He's only as big as our bear, right? So our hunt's over if we get him.
Yeah, I know.
What time is it? 7:20. That's when we shot our bear last year. He was 225 pounds though. He's maybe 100 pounds. He stole another donut. But it's a male for sure, so he's legal. I think he's just a young male that's on his own.
For most, a mature boar is the ideal bear to shoot,
I could pop him right now.
but depending on how much meat you want to harvest, say for just a small family like August and myself, then a juvenile bear is ideal.
Want to get it done? Okay, plug your ears. My chair just made a noise. My chair made a noise. Oh no, he's leaving. Just decide I'm going to shoot this bear and he leaves. You gotta be kidding me. He's leaving. Sugar. I did make a bit of a noise.
This was a good opportunity for me to teach August a lesson, that if you hesitate, then you sometimes risk going home empty-handed.
Should have shot him. That was a nice little boar.
But just having that encounter can still be a great experience in the woods. And of course, this lesson was cut short, and August caught some movement out of the corner of her eye.
Another one.
No, I think that's the same one.
Oh, I see him. Is it him?
Yeah, it's him.
He was back for a third time.
That's so cool that he came back. I was so mad at myself. What do you think? I want to make sure it's the same bear. That's the problem. It could have been it could be a different bear that came in. They might be at the top of the hill taking turns. This could happen. What's he looking at? It's a perfect shot. It's like he's telling us to shoot him.
Here he comes. He's down.
Oh. He's down.
It's like right in front of us.
That's the death moan.
No. Sounds like a car.
Okay, August, we got it done. That's going to be a barbecue bear.
It's like right in front of us.
Yeah, well, that 20 gauge slug, look at that little thing. Where?
Put it on the ground.
It's not a very big load.
We got lots of daylight. We're going to go get our bear. We'll tag him. Done. What a great, fulfilling hunt. With a quick celebration, we punched our tag and headed down the hill to get our bear. August loves bear meat, and I know she's looking forward to a moment like this of her own. And I personally can't wait for the day where she's punching her own tag, posing with her very first black bear.
Closed captioning of Angler and Hunter Television is brought to you in part by Ontario Out of Doors Magazine. Angler and Hunter Television has been brought to you by Canadian Tire, Mercury Marine and Lund Boats, Yamaha ATVs, Browning Ammunition, Browning Firearms, Suffix Fishing Line, Rapala, Camillus Knives and Cuda Tools, and Yukon Gear. For more information on the products used in this episode of Angler and Hunter Television, visit ahtv.com. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Remember, conserve and protect our great outdoors.